Welcome everybody to
Perfect.
the Friday.
Nailed it.
Nailed it. Score Friday night edition of the SideQuest. I am Dolly Domovsky, discombobulated Dolly, as that's not my name, but it definitely feels like it today. And it is the SideQuest Live, your weekly journey into video games, video game culture, and medical horror stories, which we've become totally accustomed to. Maybe we won't have one this week. Hopefully not. We'll see. I'm Dolly Domovsky at Dolly Domovsky. As usual, joining me, the wonderful JJ Holder.
It is JJ Holder. Still here. Still alive. Still okay.
Alive. Thank goodness. Thank goodness. JJ and I share a medical kinship. So 50% of this podcast now has been, hit with the Rona.
The Rona, yeah.
But yeah, we're making it through.
I'm doing fine.
Yeah.
I'm handling it better than our president.
You're handling it better than I did. Yeah. That's for sure. I was whiny like a baby. Yeah. That's good. I'm glad you're doing good. That's it's serious and it's definitely good to hear. Good to hear you. And you were just telling us about all the food and the care packages you were getting.
Yeah.
So
great. Yeah.
Yep. Also joining us, Aaron at Scratty Bones Kelly.
Hey, hi. What's going on? How you doing? What's up?
Hey, welcome. There is no issue with the Rona where Aaron lives. It's just snow. Snow is the issue.
We got a big old blizzard happening right now, which is the first of the season, which is always fun because you look out the window and it's like, oh, there's tons of snow down, and the plows aren't really plowing the roads. Oh, there goes somebody driving 50 over the speed limit. That seems safe.
So you're over in the Maritimes, right?
Yeah.
And do you guys get like a lot of crazy ass snow over there, or?
So less so these days.
Obviously, like we've melted the planet. Yeah.
Like I
remember when. Are you gonna go into old man?
Time to sound old. When I was a kid, it used to be super common that you would see like late November, you would get like a foot of snow, and it would stay cold enough that foot of snow would never go away, and it would just accumulate. So from like November until March or April, there was always snow on the ground. And these days, like not so much. Like everybody here was fully expecting to not see any snow at all until maybe February. But
wow.
Yeah, I wouldn't be so if this snowstorm will probably stop sometime tonight or tomorrow, and then I bet by Monday it'll all be gone.
That's insane. Yeah, we definitely haven't been getting as much snow as we used to in the past either. We used to get snow around the same time. It would be like November. You'd start getting some of your bigger snows. You might get dustings beforehand, but I was just talking to friends of mine or family on a call the other day. I'm like, yeah, I remember when I would drive into work or drive home from work in November after like brutal snowstorms every November, and it would be like a 3.5 hour drive home because I live like an hour from my office. Not anymore. I live in my office, but it would be like a 3.5 hour drive home, and I actually weirdly love those days because like it's just slow driving, and there's most people are being safe on the road, trying to, and you're just listening to podcasts and shit. So yeah, we don't get that anymore. We got a light dusting a couple days ago, and that was basically it. But who may actually be getting more snow than any of us is Sam. Sam, have you had any snow yet? Sam Dixon.
Hello. I mean, I got some snow today, but it was just like some flurries and stuff. Nothing too big to lay. We still have snow on the ground from like a freak snowstorm. Gosh, on like December 15th or something like that. I think snowed like 2 feet, close to 2 feet in my area. I mean, there's still like the sort of snow plowed piles sitting at the end of driveways and stuff like that.
Yeah, all of ours melted because we actually hit like mid 40s a couple days ago, so we haven't had any. Snow doesn't stick around here anymore. It's kind of sad.
It's never been. I've never lived in a snowy area. It snows. You get like 1 day of snow a year, if that, around here. So it's just it's I live in a much more like, coastal
Mild,
area.
okay.
It's mild weather. So if it's going to snow, it's going to rain first and then before it snows. So it's, winter rolls around and,
Pennsylvania is a state there that always snows, and it snows a lot. And there is always inevitably somebody with their like Honda Civic that they've beached like in a parking lot because they don't with like PA tags on. I'm like, listen, like you had to have known. It's only gotten better over the years. It's certainly like you should know by now that like you can't be going the normal speed limit.
Yeah.
A black patch of ice. What happened there?
Yeah.
Just showed out of nowhere. No, it's the intersection that's always icy. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, our next generations won't be able to live through this anymore.
Yeah. Well, this is our old man weather section.
Literally.
Well, I mean, so when I was like 7 or 8, when my great grandmother was still alive, she used to tell me stories. She used to live. There's an island. It's like a 20 to 40 minute ferry ride from the village that I live in, called Tancook. And she grew up on Tancook. So when she was a kid, so, call it 100 years ago now, I suppose, she had pictures of how it used to be so cold that the Atlantic Ocean would freeze and they could drive their cars from here across the ocean to Tancook.
Wow.
She had pictures. She had like a frame black and white photo of like cars like on the ocean. And like, I don't think I've even seen it be cold enough for long enough these days to even see like flecks of ice in the ocean anymore.
Yeah, it's very difficult for an ocean to completely like ice over.
Yeah. And thick enough that it can support the weight of a car.
Yeah.
That's we used to have, even when we bought our we have a cottage up in here's how everybody, this is the map of Michigan. It's like we have a cottage like right up here, and we lived like down here, so whatever. But our cottage, the lake behind our cottage, we're like a couple blocks from the lake. It would freeze over every year. This was like 10 years ago. It would completely freeze over. And you'd have people out there on they would drive their pickup trucks and put tents up and stuff and just go ice fishing and live on the lake for like a week, Yep. And they haven't done that. Like, I haven't seen it there in 5 or 6 years. Easily 5 or 6 years. It's been, but whatever. It's not like, it's a hoax. Climate change isn't happening. We're fine. Anyways, no. Let's talk about other good things. I was going to mention. So JJ had care packages. He said that the
Health
Seattle
department.
health department was sending you care package, which is awesome. We didn't get any of that kind of stuff. We just get like a bill in the mail to pay for stuff. But I will say that we got my daughter is homeschool and all that kind of stuff, or virtual remote school. But now they're like transitioning kids into like half of the day in school and half of the day at home, so they can kind of divide stuff up, and it's all kind of a weird mess. But whatever. Anyways, we forgot to uncheck the free meal thing. So they're offering it to every student. Said, hey, listen, your kid was normally going to get food. Obviously, there's like different expenses. Like, money is kind of like the funding is all set up for certain things. So they have like a lot of these contracts, food's still coming in. So they're offering free food to all the students in the family. It's like a way to, to help families out. Because obviously, can't cook for your kids in the same way. You can't, supply them with lunches, all that kind of stuff. And they figure this is a good way to do. We don't need to, because I'm home the whole day. I can cook. I have been cooking, getting food ready for my daughter. But we forgot to uncheck the box. And so I've got to say, I have missed elementary school chicken nugget Thursdays like you wouldn't believe. And they were phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. Elementary school pizzas, the like small round pizzas.
There's something
this food. It was so good.
There's something so enjoyable about that sort of shitty school pizza. Like, it's not good.
It's not
at
good
all. But it's that nostalgic thing. Like, you eat it and you're like, oh yeah, this is terrible. But also, somehow good. Like
Somehow,
it's like
somehow I
it's a
love
Mc-
it. Yeah.
it's like it's a McDonald's cheeseburger. This is a terrible
Literally,
cheeseburger,
yes.
but you know what?
Right.
This is okay.
And today she got Bosco sticks, which she hasn't eaten yet. So if you know what Bosco sticks are, those are those. Those are really good. Okay, let's move on to some games. As we do every week, we start with a little bit about what we've been playing. There isn't a lot of news. We could go with news first. There isn't a ton. If you guys want, maybe we can try switching it up. I mean,
Yeah, let's do it.
let's do news first. Let me get
Let's
into
do
what
it.
we've been playing.
I have
Good.
2 news stories. That's
Perfect.
what I got.
Let's do it.
News story number 1: Xbox Live Gold pricing going up.
Yeah.
Now it's for new members, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, if you're an existing online 12-month or 6-month Xbox Live Gold member, there's no price change. If you choose to renew your membership, it will renew at your current price.
Mhm.
So there you go. And if you're new, it's $1 more, I think, per month. Isn't that what
$1
it
more
is?
per month,
Per month,
and
yeah.
weirdly $5 more for 3 months.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
And then, but the big hike, the monthly one isn't too bad because people are going to be spending that anyways. But the big jump was the jump over for the full year because
For the full year,
6 month used to be like $39.99.
Yeah.
Now 6 months is $60. So it's and the full year is basically $120 for a new Xbox Live Kids. Now
Yeah.
it doesn't affect me, doesn't affect us, but kids who are getting Xboxes from their parents for Christmas, it's going to affect them.
Well, it's like it's now going to cost you, $120 a year to play Fortnite on your
Which
brand
is a
new
free
Xbox.
game.
Yeah.
Well, my bigger thing was what about like the families that instead of like doing automatic renewal or stuff like that, they go out and they buy the card and they use that code that's on there because those cards are going to be more expensive now. So imagine like somebody's mom who's used to paying like the $60 or so it is a year. Like, oh, it's Timmy's birthday again. I better go buy him one of those Xbox Live cards so the subscription doesn't run out. And all of a sudden it's double the price.
Yeah, because and that's the thing. Like, it's easy for us to know these news stories, but there's plenty of parents out there that have no idea. They don't follow the news cycle. They're not following Major Nelson on Twitter.
The one nice thing about this is that at least they waited until after the Christmas holidays.
True. Yeah. Although you still can't find an Xbox Series X out there.
I got a photograph from somebody that went to the store yesterday that actually saw one on the shelves.
Okay, all right. Yeah, but I mean, true. They've been slightly more readily available than the PlayStations.
The PlayStation 5, I've never seen a hint of PlayStation 5's existence, but outside of the one that I own.
I just checked my local buy and sell for the entire province, and there are Series X's up there. Hey, do you guys want to pay $1,150 for a Series X with an extra controller?
Absolutely not.
What about $750 for a Series X?
No.
What about $980?
Okay, now you've got me.
That's news story number 1.
I mean, I will say that the push is clear. They're trying to make Game Pass Ultimate. They want you to upgrade to that. If they really should just like sunset Live with Gold and say, you know what, is from now on Xbox is $15 a month. Just say we're getting rid of Gold. I mean, remember there used to be Xbox Silver, Xbox Gold, and they got rid of Silver, and now it's hey guys, we're no longer going to be doing Gold as a single service. Now it literally is just, we're going to call it Xbox Online or something.
Yeah, and they even specifically say that you can transfer all your remaining Gold membership to Xbox Game Pass Ultimate right now.
Yeah.
Which is great because they're still available for $60. So I'm thinking of loading up and just transferring everything over.
You can do it up to 36 months. So you could go out and buy 36 months of Gold and then just transfer it over. And then
this has to be stage 1 of them just like sunsetting we're just gonna milk it out for what little more we can. This last year of us just being able to really really milk it out and then just fold it all into one by the time the Series X is in more houses. Their Series X and X are in more houses, then it's just like, okay, now it's just Game Pass or whatever they want to. They're gonna have to rebrand it because like Xbox Games Pass Ultimate doesn't sound like what it is. Like it does. Xbox Gold sounds like what it is. That's your gold membership to give you online access. But like saying Game Pass Ultimate doesn't imply that it has Xbox Live Gold in it. It just makes it sound like some weird like 4K Netflix or something.
Yeah, they really should just turn like the base Game Pass and your Live and your Gold and your Games Pass, and then just call it like Xbox Ultimate. And use that as now it gives you the Gold tier and it gives you PC and stuff like that.
Yeah, cloud and all that stuff. Yeah,
and make it. Oh, stop reading Twitter. Thanks, Taylor. No, I really do think they do need to sort of make a free to play stuff is free. You don't need to connect to X. I mean, just go that route because then kids, then you do have that division. The kids who are getting the Xbox for Fortnite will be able, and there are a lot that are still playing Fortnite. They're playing Apex. I know. This is gonna sound really weird. I know plenty of 11-year-old boys who are playing, who are
made it even weirder.
That are my daughter's age that are playing Xbox, and obviously the whole naming convention. We were talking about Xbox is like, yeah, I got an Xbox S. I'm like, oh, cool. So you don't have a disk drive? No, I got a disk drive. But you said you had one of the new Xbox S's. Anyways, the kids are 11 years old and they're as confused as some of the parents are. And so just make it easy. Don't take away all these levels of all these different tiers. Make it let the games host their own servers and transition everybody up. It's the easiest way.
Yeah.
So, all right, next news story.
Next news story. I'm actually gonna break it up because I got a question. Hey, Dally, what's up? What's up? You got a real good webcam going on. It's like you're so in focus and your background is so out of focus. It looks like you're sitting in front of a green screen. What's going on?
I know it's the NVIDIA broadcast. I'm using I actually turned on the NVIDIA broadcast software on my laptop, and it like blurs everything in the back. It's kind of cool. Yeah. Although what I will say, what really annoys me is that I have. All right, watch this. All right, I actually have lights off the side here, real bright. And the camera auto adjusts. Like this is like, oh, it's hitting me. Oh, just the camera auto adjusted, which is nice. It's blinding to me. So I have like sheets of paper over it, which they tell you is a good way to do it. But then I do that, and then I fade into darkness. So I don't actually get I got to figure out a way to turn that off for the camera, the auto light sensing. I don't know how.
Hey, how close to the light do you have those sheets of paper? Because that's also a good way to start a fire.
No, they're LED lights. They're it's real. It's like the front of the light is cold. So like the panel in front. So I'm good. All
right, I've definitely been on a set once where somebody was like, "Oh, we'll just throw this like mesh over top the light that'll help diffuse it." And I smelled burning and looked over and was like, "Yeah, and we're gonna remove the mesh now before it melts the housing on the light."
It would be something that would happen to me because this past summer, I was grilling in the backyard and I left the pork tenderloins on the grill and I ran to the front yard to get something. And the next thing I know, my neighbor's calling me on my cell phone and says, "Hey, your grill is on fire and it might spread to your house." So I literally ran to the backyard as fast as I could, put out the fire. So yeah, typical me. Continue, Aaron. Sorry.
Yeah, I just had to bring that up. Yeah, I got one other news story right now, and I think it just happened today. Vicarious Visions got merged into Blizzard.
Yeah, and it doesn't sound like the good kind of merged into Blizzard either. It's that Raven Software style of merged into Blizzard, where now it's now you're working on our stuff and only our stuff. So which sounded bad at the immediately following the story. Apparently, there's an update saying that they've been working on Blizzard stuff already, and the original the OG Blizzard team has long since been fired. So
Like
they've been in the like credits for like Call of Duty and stuff for like forever. It's just like they better still get to make a Tony Hawk game. Like they better not like the HD remake was like, all right, cool. I can't wait to have like a sequel from these guys now or something.
It just feels weird to reward a studio for remastering two great games by folding them into another company.
Yeah.
Well, apparently they're rewarding them by forcing them to remaster Diablo 2. So
Yep.
Can I just say, and I'm sure this will get hate comments, but what was it about Diablo 2 that everybody loves so much? Like, I enjoyed that game, but honestly, Nox is a better game.
Yeah. You're right.
I got nothing for it. Yeah, I mean, like,
I don't know. I've never been a Diablo fan.
Yeah, I enjoyed what Diablo 2 I played. What was it, like 25 years ago at this point?
Someone did, yeah.
Like, I didn't go back to Diablo 2. I never did. Like, I moved on.
Diablo 2 was my brother's first M-rated game.
Hey.
And I remember he waited until he was 18 to go buy the game. And he was so excited. I went with him and he was like, yes, like I can buy this game. I'm like, I'm finally going to go play Diablo. And he goes and he buys Diablo at there. And he's like, yeah, I'm so excited to play it. Like I've been waiting until I turned 18 to play it or whatever. And the guy's like, you could have bought it at 17, right? Like, I could sell M-rated games to 17-year-olds. And he just started swearing in the middle of that store.
You know what I and maybe this is just me, but I don't see the re-release and the updates and the remakes of older games it's cool for like some certain games that maybe you never had a chance to play. Like JJ did the review of that SNK fighting game, right? That was a Neo Geo Pocket, and they just re-released it. Whatever.
That's just the re-release, yeah.
It's the re-release, and then they remake games like Shadow of the Colossus. There are games like Diablo 2 era type games, and full remakes of some of that stuff. But even Link's Awakening on the Switch, they've did a full graphical overhaul remake of that game. Yeah. Was it StarCraft? And
they did that StarCraft.
Yeah. But they didn't really do that. They just kind of said, let's just kind of turn up the graphical knobs a little bit, but keep it the same old mechanics and not really do enough to modern. It's like they're not modernized. It's just playing a higher res version of that old game when those games, the newer iterations in series have come so far and improved so much that I don't see, maybe that's why like World of Warcraft, the remake, whatever, that just had a lot of people crapping on it because it was like, okay, yeah, we've already moved past the original World of Warcraft or whatever.
Yeah.
We've already moved past that.
It definitely does suck when they like update something where like here's a remastered version, but they don't fix they don't modernize the controls in any way, shape, or form because they put all those they put out the GTA games in sort of kind of upped resolutions so they run a little better, but retain the controls of the time, which were common at the time, but nobody wants to use X for gas anymore.
Right.
So when you go back and play San Andreas, it's like, oh, that's right, I have to retrain everything because X is gas and there's no analog trigger stuff going on or anything, and the cameras only move in set patterns.
It's Nintendo re-released Mario 64 with barely any just some super slight tweaks, but so I was playing that and I thought, wow, it still controls like crap in a lot of it. The camera still kind of sucks, and if you're gonna remake a game like Diablo 2 or something, go balls to the wall, have fun, have them push the limit to make me want to replay a game, because otherwise just play Diablo 3.
Yeah, you're on PC. It's one of those things where
literally,
it's one of those things as well because at least with some of this other stuff, it's it's console games and they're so far out of production that you can't. It's hard to get. Sometimes it's hard to play Shadow of the Colossus. So why not just make this game and make it new again or whatever? But I could just Diablo 2 play. If it's gonna play the same, I'll just play Diablo 2. It didn't look. Yeah, it
seems
like it's just.
Or I'll play Diablo
like,
3.
It's just. It's like just. I don't know. It's like we have this amount of money that we have to spend, so let's just spend it on this.
Well, part of the problem too, like if you play Diablo 3 and then you go back and play,
that's exactly what I'm saying. Yeah.
Like
Diablo 3 is great. Yeah.
Yeah, it's rough, but it's doable. But the more mechanically complex a game is, like I've played a lot. I played a lot of StarCraft back in the day, and I played a lot of StarCraft 2, and then I went back for that remaster of StarCraft with like no real improvements to how it plays. Ooh.
It's rough, man. It's not. I mean, you're unlearning things.
My only counter. Quickly did most of us go out and pre-order that Mario remaster request.
Oh yeah, I did it because I was dumb and I actually believed Nintendo would stop selling them. I thought for some weird reason they would be out of there's only a certain amount that we're gonna make, but they're like store shelves are stacked with them right now.
Yeah. There was never. It's
just one of the top 10 selling games on Amazon last year, right?
Yeah, like, I think just in America in general,
absolute shit ton of those copies.
Yeah.
What other news you got there?
At least they didn't. At least they didn't try to sell it as anything more than that. Like they didn't even call it a remaster. They're just like, it's just a collection, man. You can't play it on this system already. Like if you want to play this game, you got to go to what you got to. You're gonna dust off your Wii U. No,
GameCube controller support on Sunshine now. So
sold. And they let you invert on.
Anything else, Aaron?
No, that's pretty much it. We could talk a little bit, I guess, about the Resident Evil demo if we wanted to. Everybody seems to be about that, but I'm not a Resident Evil guy. So
I played the demo that they released. I just finished that up a little bit ago. Yeah, it's like 10 minutes. It's fine.
That can lead into what we've been playing. So let's talk about that. Let's get into what we've been playing. We'll start off with the Resident Evil demo. JJ, tell me about this.
It's beautiful. Holy shit! Yeah. Like because you start off in a dingy, underground cellar cavern thing, but eventually you make your way into a mansion, and it's like gilded and everything, and it's beautiful when you're in the mansion. I was kind of stunned a little bit when I got into the mansion part. It's not much of a demo. It's just a bunch of puzzles with some spooky stuff going on around you. There's no combat. There's no having to run from any monsters or anything. But it's like 10-15 minutes at most. And it ends with the scene that everyone is clamoring about with tall vampire lady grabbing you and killing you.
Sexy tall vampire lady.
Yeah, with her Lady Deathstrike claws. I don't know. I would be kind of super into it if the game was just kind of that, where it is just like a spooky, atmospheric sort of like Myst style puzzle horror game. But I don't know how much more I have in me for these just like intense first-person horror monstrosities anymore. My soul can't take much more of these horror games. I don't think
it's Aaron's favorite genre.
Yeah, horror was absolutely my thing, and I still am a huge horror movie fan. But like Resident Evil 7 was about like I think. Was like my limit. Like I completed that, and I completed that in VR like a lunatic.
That's the only way I've been playing it. I went back to it finally.
And I think that sort of just drained me of like, I don't think I'm built for this anymore. It makes me too stressed. It causes me too much real life stress. I can't. So I don't know. I may just watch somebody play Resident Evil 8. But I am excited just for its existence, though. I always like a good Resident Evil game coming out, so.
I think it's very cool that they've seemed to have like found their new niche for those games, and those games are like, there was a point there where like Resident Evil was on a big downswing.
Yeah. Like I said, I've played through all of them. I played through the recent remakes. 3 wasn't good, but 3 was never a good Resident Evil to begin with. So I didn't really care for that. 2, I get 2 and 3 stress me out too much because I just don't like being chased continuously throughout a game. It's never been a favorite genre conceit for me, unless it's something like one of those like 4v1, like,
sure,
those, like Dead by Daylight or something. That's different.
Well, apparently they're the Capcom's obviously they're remaking Resident Evil 4, and the RE3 team was working on it, and apparently they got booted off there because RE3 just wasn't cutting it for them. So
because there was the story goes that it's like split in studio, where it's like some want it to be a straight remake, some want it to be just remake the game at heart, but not necessarily a straight remake. And I feel like that game is showing its age. It's on everything, and it's just what we were talking about earlier. It's on everything. If you want to play Resident Evil 4, you can easily play a really good-looking version of Resident Evil 4 right now. It's on PC in high resolution. Like, you can play it in 4K on PC. But but I to modernize that game, to take that game and make a new game out of it, would be very cool. But they won't do that, and I know they won't do that. So it'd be cool to make Resident Evil 4 like 7 and 8, like, but I don't know how that works. I don't know how they would pull that off. As like
I don't know if the game long escort mission really translates to 2021.
It doesn't. No, everyone consistently complains about having to do escort missions in whatever game you're playing. All of a sudden there's an escort mission, and there's like stretch a game out for, I mean, that was a 2-disc GameCube game, so that's how long was that game? That was like a 40-hour game. Like
I think the thing that tells me everything I need to know about Resident Evil 4 is the fact that whenever anybody talks really glowingly about it, they're like, oh yeah, once you beat the game and do a bunch of the challenges, you can get a suit of armor for the girl, and then none of the zombies can hurt her, and it's awesome. And I'm just like, yeah, but you got to fucking beat the game to do that. So like,
and not just beat the game, you got to beat the game with something resembling skill, which sometimes I don't know if I have that in me anymore.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I want to. I've played Resident Evil 4 a lot because I played the GameCube version and I played the Wii version, and I definitely have played the PC version. Like, I don't need to play that game again. Like, I've gotten everything I humanly can out of Resident Evil 4. So,
yeah.
It's going to be diminishing returns with these Resident Evil remakes at this point, but they're going to get Code Veronica out at some point, and everyone's just going to kill the franchise again. Like, I
really want them to do a remake of God, what was
Dino Crisis?
No, what was the online Resident Evil that was Outbreak?
Outbreak ruled.
Yeah.
Everyone keeps asking them for Outbreak, but then they just keep doing like this free-to-play thing that's going to be in the
reverse
reverse game, where it's just like it's a 4v1. Like, it's like, no, nobody fucking wants that. They keep trying to do multiplayer Resident Evil, but won't make the one that people are saying Outbreak was really good. Make Outbreak again. No, they're never going to make Outbreak because that's what people want.
Well, it just makes that's one of those things where it's like everybody who really wants Outbreak, like, probably played it online on PS2
on early broadband.
You're already looking at a real niche crowd, you know what I mean? Like, the people who are like, oh yeah, Outbreak was great. It's like 10 people who had that fucking modem, and they were all like Final Fantasy players anyway.
We all played. If you had the modem, you either played Final Fantasy or SOCOM. Those were the two games that people played.
SOCOM,
SOCOM, that was it. Yeah. All right. What else have you been playing, JJ?
Hitman 3, baby. I beat Hitman 3.
You beat Hitman 3 already?
I beat Hitman 3. Yeah.
Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this right off the top before you get into the game.
Okay.
So Hitman 3's got this whole thing going on right now, and I did include in the news where you can buy some sort of pass that lets you play all the content from 1 and 2.
Yes.
If you already own them.
If you already own them, yes. You can't buy it. If you already own it, you get the pass is unlocked for you if you already own it.
Okay, so can I then just purchase 3 and this pass and then get that content?
As far as it looks like, yes. I don't know what this, because like it gives me the option to just download the Hitman 1 Access Pass or whatever and Game of the Year, because everything's individual. Like, so Hitman 1 was digital only to begin with. So, you know, you have that, then you have like this Game of the Year upgrade, and then you have like a Game of the Year Deluxe upgrade, and you have Hitman 2, and then like Hitman 2 Season Pass upgrade and stuff. So there's like a bunch of different levels of what you can unlock in Hitman, but I think you can just buy everything real quick and easy. So, and also like Hitman 2 was like $12 on PSN, and if you're getting it on Epic, they're just giving that shit away because there's a big clusterfuck with the transfer situation over there, because you probably already own it on Steam, but that stuff's not transferring in from Steam, so you have to buy it all over.
Tim Sweeney's out there right now. Yeah. He was out there on Twitter earlier saying like, no, we're looking into it. Like, we're trying to solve this. So,
and they already said that is if you buy it within like the first 2 weeks or week or whatever, Hitman 3, you're going to get Hitman 1 stuff for free included already. And you're going to be able to get the Hitman 2 for dirt cheap, you know, like 75, 85% off or something.
Yeah, like the options right now, like I'm just looking at it on Epic because that's where it is. Mm-hmm. Hitman 3, you get Hitman 3 Deluxe Edition.
Yeah.
Hitman 3 Access Pass, Hitman 2 Expansion. Hitman 3 Access Pass, Hitman 2 Gold. Yeah. And it's like right there. It's like, that's a little confusing. Yeah. And then also Hitman 3 Access Pass, Hitman 1 GOTY.
Yeah. So and also you have to go through a whole separate process if you have been playing those games, because you've been unlocking stuff this whole time, and there's a whole website where that's transferring your gameplay data into Hitman 3. So when I booted up Hitman 3 and I had the carryover stuff, I just started unlocking trophy after trophy after trophy, because I had beaten Hitman 1 and 2, and Hitman 1 and 2 are the entire, like, it's not just the levels, it is the games in there, like the campaigns are in there too. So it just starts unlocking all of those trophies too, and all of the perks and stuff that I've unlocked. So
which is like, you know, I mean, let's be honest, like that's the craziest shit I ever heard of in video games.
Yeah, it's like when and this is the finale, so it's not like it's going to be like Hitman 4 is going to include all this stuff. Like this Hitman 3 is like it's now this entire singular story. But to have your new game come out and just retroactively include the previous 2 games in their entirety in it is wild.
That's awesome. That's insane.
Yeah. So the game itself is great. it's more Hitman. If you've played the previous 2 Hitman games, you've played this. They did not reinvent the wheel in any way, shape, or form. I've got it on PS5.
Okay.
It's beautiful. It's really good looking. The first level is Dubai, and you're in one of those giant, you know, skyscrapers that you definitely know what you're talking about.
Yeah, like the Burj Khalifa or whatever.
Yeah, and like the sun coming in and like bouncing off the water features and the gold gildings and stuff. It's a beautiful game. Compared to the previous 2, it is definitely story centered. It is telling a story, and each level it does the level breakdowns much differently than previously. It actually sort of breaks some of the tradition a little bit in some of them. The third mission kind of just sets you in without any sort of goal at the very beginning. You just kind of go in. You don't know who you're going after or where you're even really going. And once you get there and you start sort of sneaking around, it becomes clear what your mission becomes, and it's a different kind of mission than the Hitman game 1 and 2 have been doing, and the final mission is completely different.
Are you like a rogue agent at this point?
Is
John Hitman? Is he just like a mercenary at this point?
It's actually Michael Hitman.
Yeah. No, I mean, so you're still with the ICA, which is the secret organization, Archer style, you know, organization. But this game sort of builds on that a little differently, because things do start falling apart by the end of 2, and so it's, you know, this story is actually kind of cool this time around. So the previous 2 games, we talked about spoilers, it really wouldn't matter too much, but this one, I think the story is pretty cool. Yeah, it's some really, really cool. There's this like Chinese level that you have to go to, and it's almost more cyberpunk than cyberpunk in a lot of ways. It's like it's this neon drenched China, and you have to break in, and like this like one of your targets is a guy that is self-augmenting himself, and he's taking test subjects to try to remotely control them with his mind and stuff. It got weird. Hitman got weird this time around a little bit, but
does the briefcase still fly?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I've unlocked so many gadgets too throughout the time. So just like start up a mission and just like, where's my remote controlled rubber duck? Damn it. Give me it. I need it. But it's still so satisfying to just get in there and have your plan go smoothly. But also, there was at one point where I was doing a mission and like my plan was falling apart, but I wasn't caught yet. But you just have an opening and you're like, fuck it, I'm taking it. And
I'm gonna do it.
Hope for the best, which is always the best feeling when it works out in Hitman. Yeah, I beat it already. It's not a long game, but none of them are. That's not the point. Like your first playthrough, like each level, like if you're proficient enough, you know, 45 minutes to an hour on your first playthrough. And you know, there's 5 levels. So, but you know, the fun of Hitman is going back and like coming at it a different way, or doing better, doing faster, be more sneaky, you know, and unlocking
wearing a different costume.
Start getting different outfits, different starting locations, what your loadouts change and stuff. And it's got all the other stuff in there. It's got all the creative, you know, like how people can create their own contracts and share them online. It's got the sniper mode in it still. That's still there. It has a VR mode for the PlayStation 4 version. Which I played with a little bit, and that is it's almost too much. It's because VR, the PS VR isn't that great to begin with. Like so it's a little janky. A lot of pop in because it is such a great looking game. So when you like have to bring down the resolution a little bit, like I did the Dubai mission in VR, and there's like a hot air balloon floating by in the background that just blinks in and out of existence from time to time when you're walking around, which is very distracting. But it's functional, and you can definitely play it in VR. It's weird. It feels like you're playing a different game a lot of the times because the way you're used to playing the game, like the controls are completely different. You know, so you have to like learn to play the game a little different. So, but everything's if it's a level in Hitman, you can play it in VR from the first game to this game. Every single mission, every single level is playable in VR. So that's cool that they put a lot of effort into it, and it works really well. But I don't know if I'll play it that much. And if you have the PS5 version, you have to download the PS4 version. And on a system where data is already at a premium, your storage space is premium there. I don't know if I can keep 2 copies of Hitman 3 around at all times if I just want to play it in VR. But
I'm vaguely tempted to buy into because I haven't played any of these games. Like I think
neither have I.
I played the demo for Hitman 1 that they put out, which was like the first level or whatever.
It was like the training mission where it's like on this like fake barge and stuff. I played that, and I haven't played any of them since. And I've just got this fucking VR. Like I got an Oculus sitting in my house, and I've still never plugged it in. And I'm just it's only PSVR. There is
really?
It's only
Yeah.
PSVR. Yeah,
Wow.
there is no Oculus version because it's an Epic. It's an Epic Game Store exclusive, and there's no Oculus shit on Epic Game Store.
Yeah.
So I think there's like one game that supports Oculus on Epic Game Store or something. But like,
I guess I'll wait. I'll wait the year until it comes out on Steam.
Until it hits Steam, exactly, because it's going to come to Steam. Like, we're not fucking idiots here. But yeah, no, it's PSVR exclusive as of right now, and that's unfortunate because that's not the best VR experience for something that's this kind of big, and it uses the PS4 controller that you can't use the Move controllers, which is kind of a bummer. That'd be more entertaining, but yeah, it's definitely, knowing me with Hitman, I'll be playing this the entire year. I mean, up at like last week, I was still playing Hitman 2, and so it's definitely going to be. I know myself enough already to say that it's going to be on my Game of the Year list at the end of the year because I just fucking love these games, and this is just more of these games, and I'll be playing them forever and ever and ever. So yeah, highly recommend
the trilogy.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Anything else you've been playing?
That's all I've been playing.
That's it.
That's it. That's
all right.
Yep.
How about Sam? Let's go to Sam right now. I'm curious what Sam's playing.
Hey, buddy.
Oh, not a lot, honestly. I've been playing the moving game as of late. The reason I haven't been on the podcast is up until like, let's say Tuesday of last week, I did not have a desk to put any of my computer equipment on. And I didn't feel like doing the show from a laptop in my kitchen.
By the way, Sam, since you still don't have your camera up, I put Bernie sitting on a chair.
There we go.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, I didn't grow a webcam in the move. I maybe I'll bring home a fancy camera from work and get it set up. But yeah, as of now, those cameras are currently working. The other reason I haven't been on much, which is because sports have started again.
Sports.
I work in
sports.
Yeah. And we currently only have, two sports, men's and women's basketball rolling right now. But that all changes in a couple of days. And there's a lot of work to be done for all of those sports because guess what? COVID causes a lot more issues than it solves. So.
Can I tell a really quick ridiculous story?
Mm-hmm.
So at the pub, they've got a big TV mounted to the wall, and they've always got some sort of sports playing. Usually it's golf because I live in a big golf community. But every now and then somebody comes in and they're like, they get their hands on the remote and they'll put something else on. So football comes on, there's a crowd that's get really into it and they're really rambunctious. Same thing with basketball. I was in there the other day and it was women's basketball to a packed pub and nobody was making a sound. Everybody was pretty much just to a person just sitting at their table doing this, just watching.
being very respectful to the women.
Yeah,
not
heckling or disparaging. Just nobody was like really amped. They were all just sitting there, like with their drinks, just like.
Well, it's the fun because this, they're probably the most successful Seattle sports team is probably the Seattle Storm, the WNBA team. Yeah. But I don't hear about them at all until it's like, oh, they're in the championship game again or something. And you're just like, what? Nobody talks about it until it's like the end of the season, and they're like,
no. Well, if it's anything like at my university, the women are way more exciting to watch than the men. Way better at the sport. As much more exciting back and forth games that are entertaining. No showboating. It's all about teamwork out there.
Yeah.
But they've gone further in your tournaments too. So
yes, they have on numerous occasions, and will likely do the same this year. Other than that, I really haven't played a lot of games. I've been playing a lot of Genshin Impact because my partner and I both play that, and they keep having weekly events and stuff. So
you're playing that on PS4/PS5 or PC?
No, so I'm playing that on PC/Android because the PS4/5 version does not crossplay with PC.
Okay.
And now I have a PS4 and a PS5, so we could both be playing on it. But previously, it was the only way to really, make that stuff happen.
Can you bring your account over from like the Android and mobile?
So mobile to PC you can. So I can play the same save and progress and stuff like that on PC and mobile, which ends up being what I was doing a lot. Because back, a couple of months ago, I was able to, while I was waiting on things to render, go out and do dailies in that game. And then play with a real big boy computer later that night. They are finally adding controller support to iOS devices in the next update, which hopefully then means they will add controller support to Android devices. So hopefully that'll happen. Not that my Galaxy 9 can really handle that game much. It's funny. It has a slider for graphics, right? And as soon as you put it to try to go to 60 FPS, it just says overclocked. And it has a red bar underneath it that's filled up. And I was like, I don't know what that means, but it's probably not good. And then scaling down all the graphics on it still has like decent or whatever it says. And it's a green bar that's about 75% of the way filled up. So my phone really shouldn't be playing it as far as I know, but it's handling it okay. The only other thing I've been playing is actually Fortnite. Because it's easy to jump into. It's yet another game that I have 9 different devices. I can be anywhere in my house now that I have internet that's faster than double digits.
And it's free on all those devices that you're playing. You don't have to pay the $120.
Correct. I don't play it on Xbox other than the one time to claim the free gold skins or whatever with it. But yeah, I've been playing that mostly because the PS5 version has 120 FPS mode. Nice. And I have a fancy television and a fancy PS5. I might as well play the fanciest thing I can on it. And currently, it's Fortnite. So I've been playing a lot of that.
I'm going to throw in real quick. Sorry, you mentioned that you have a fancy TV. The $199 4K TV that I got this year from Target for Black Friday. They got like a 55-inch 4K TV or whatever it was for $200. Awesome deal. Is way better. This is gonna sound like this so privileged, but it's definitely not Tom Johnson level of being able to buy OLEDs. It's way better. If it has better quality. Maybe it's because the size and where I'm sitting, but it has better quality than the 75-inch 4K TV that I bought last year for for our house. And yeah, I know it sounds like it is. It's totally overprivileged, but the $200 TV is way better than the $720 TV that I bought. So
you might want to look into the settings on that TV. I've increasingly learned over the last couple of months that people do not actually understand the technology that they have purchased. Just recently at work, I've made the observation a lot of people, there's 2 types of people that buy laptops that don't know anything about computers. It's either, okay, this is the cheapest thing I could find, so I purchased it, and now I'm pissed off that I can't have a Gmail tab open and a YouTube tab open at the same time. Or you have the other way where all I want to do is check my email and occasionally look at a YouTube video, and I now have an i7 with an RTX 2060 in it.
There you go.
Because I wanted to purchase something and I wanted to make sure it worked. What? But yeah, a lot of people, I have a friend that has been playing what is it? Just a base PlayStation 4 on a 4K television, but they didn't have HDR enabled. They didn't have any of the thing. They didn't put on the game input mode. So, they've been playing at with stuttery frames and all types of stuff going on. And I was like, why didn't you change any of these settings? They're like, I don't know. I just plugged it in. Shouldn't it just work?
I just plugged it in.
I mean, you would hope so.
Yeah. And some people don't realize that some of the earlier 4K sets, it matters which HDMI port you use.
It really does.
It's or even people buy these televisions and they're like, oh, it's 120 hertz. No, you have a 60 hertz panel that does that weird cinema thing that tries to duplicate frames. It looks terrible. I mean, even me with a fancy LG OLED, I plugged in the PS5 and it was like, oh boy, you got a PS5 plugged in. I'm not going to change any of the settings for you. So I hope you know what you're doing.
Yeah. It was not easy to figure out how to get HDR activated on my TV.
Yeah.
It was It's like, how many menus am I gonna have to dig through to like turn on HDR on this fucking HDMI port? It should just be a button, but no, it's fucking in there. It's so bad.
It's weird. I mean, this is why back in the day, before like Best Buy and stuff was a thing, like you had these people that worked at electronics stores whose job it was to be like, look, we sell these TVs because I know everything about them. We sell like these dishwashers or whatever because I know everything about them. And if something goes wrong, it's my ass who's showing up and fixing it because I want you to come back here. I remember going to get like my family like a decent size, like not a big screen, but like a decent size CRT at some point. And we went to this specific TV store. And the guy, you know, we're talking to the guy and he's just like, yeah, like, you know, this one should be pretty good for games. And I was like, okay, well, can I see it? And he's like, well, if you want to bring in a game console and plug it in, like you're more than welcome to. So like my mom and I like at some point went back to that store and I brought a GameCube with it and played like 3 different games on it. And I was like, yeah, okay, he's right. This is the TV we need. Like this is the one we should get.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so like, you know, I miss that because now Best Buy, I mean, you have the Geek Squad or whatever, but if I remember right, Dally, you had a pretty big issue with the Geek Squad trying to hook up that television that you had.
And guess whose problem it was mine the whole time.
Yeah, but Steve from the Geek Squad could have been like, do you have any other IR blasters in this room or anything like that? Or Steve from the Geek Squad really could have set up your 75-inch 4K to look good on whatever platform you plugged into it. But
And they have, some of them have those like Magnolia sections in them, which are a little better because the people kind of seem more specialized in those stupid little sections, but because they're not the Geek Squad, but nobody goes in there because the TVs are, you know, $2,500 and that's just for a 40-inch or something. Like it's, you know, nobody, everyone just wants to like, okay, what's the cheapest one you have at the biggest screen you have?
If anybody really cared, they wouldn't get so wide-eyed whenever they see like the 4K televisions for sale on Black Fridays, right? At least this past year, it didn't seem like any manufacturers did that dumb stuff where it's like, oh, this is our Black Friday edition. It has 2 less HDMI ports. It's half the hertz. And also it has like only 25% of the dimming zone. So good luck trying to see anything in HDR.
Yeah, it seemed like this year was just they actually put their actual product on the shelves for.
They probably just couldn't. They just couldn't manufacture the other ones. Everything was shut down.
And they had, you know, excess stocks.
Oh, don't even get me started on Mother Glass.
What else have you been playing there, Sam? That's it?
I mean, that's it. I'm also on a crusade right now to since I bought that Mario pack, and I started a little bit before I started my move, but I really want to go through and actually finish all of the Marios. Now, I think Super Mario 64 will be the only one I actually commit to getting all 120 stars from, but I just cleared Super Mario 64, what is it, 70 stars to get into the last Bowser fight. I just did that yesterday. I was really upset. I forgot that the one change, well, they might have made numerous changes, but the one noticeable change they made in that that update is they removed the backwards jump up the infinite staircase, because I sat there for like 10 minutes. As soon as I got 50 stars, I'm like, cool, I'm finishing this game tonight, baby. We're going up that stairs. And I did it for like 10 minutes, and I was like, did they
what the hell's not working? Yeah,
because it's the Japanese re-release with the Rumble Pack support, and they took that out for that version of Super Mario 64. So
there's something like 7 versions of Mario 64 that were released all in weird ways.
Hey, Mario 64 is still good. Maybe it's just the childhood of, you know, I only had like at most like one new N64 game at a time. So Super Mario 64
was all Nintendo had anyways.
For a month. Just remembering that game like backwards and forwards and knowing where all the like the different stars is. The only thing I forgot is I do not know where the Metal Mario button is. Like I don't know where that is. So there's a bunch of stars that are currently like the only stars left in certain worlds because you specifically need the Metal Mario hat, and I just do not know how to unlock that anymore. And I refuse to look it up. That's the one thing with this is I refuse to look anything up on these Mario versions. Is I just want to try to figure it out myself.
Wasn't that in one of the underground worlds?
I think so. There's like one where it kind of looks like the Metal Mario thing when you jump into it, and I'm almost certain it's in there. But I just went and I basically just did all the stars from all the worlds that like are super easy. Like I think I got 1 star from that little big world or whatever, and I got 1 star from the second ice place.
I fucking hate the foot race with Koopa the Quick on the Little Big World stage so much. Still, it angered me as a kid, and it angers me still because I'm just not good at it, and I fucking hate that motherfucker. I hate him so much.
It's just funny of playing like years of Mario after that, like the different amount of like movement that I definitely wasn't doing as a child in that game. Like just jumping and diving and just like constantly doing the Yahoo jump everywhere you go, just because it's way faster. And I was definitely just like holding B as a kid trying to run faster, even though I don't think that works in that game. But yeah, I mean, Mario is still great. I'm begging you, Nintendo. I don't know who I have to pay off to make it happen, but please somehow allow me to play Star Fox 64 on a Switch.
On a Switch.
I play that game once a year. I'm due for. I played it in 2020 multiple times, but I'm due for my 2021 playthrough. And please just let me play it on the Switch. I don't want to have to I don't want to have to go track down a CRT, and I'll steal one from my office. I will. But I'd prefer to just play it on the Switch.
So because I've got one of those adapters on the Switch. Those are those stupid expensive adapters that let the Eon adapters for the Nintendo 64, so you could just play it in 480i or 40p, but with the blaster button on it, so it looks really good. And it's lossless controls, but like it is still a Nintendo 64. I have never had a problem with that controller in any way, shape, or form. It's an easy target to make fun of that Nintendo 64 controller, but I kind of like it. But it would be nice just to have a normal ass controller to play Star Fox with, maybe. So.
I keep seeing. I can't think who produces them. Maybe it's Hori that has those N60, those like modern N64 controllers.
They have a few of them. You got Hyperkin makes a lot of them.
I think Hyperkin's the one I'm thinking about. But like, I can't explain away buying a $50 controller just for my once a year playthrough of Star Fox 64 and maybe the occasional dip into Mischief Makers.
Hell yeah, Mischief Makers.
I mean, Mischief Makers is pretty good.
Shake. I used to have that back when I like originally got a cell phone and you could make your own like text tones, ringtone for it. Shake, my text tone.
That is one of those games where I really do wish. I really wish that just sort of had a better like staying power. I think the world would be a better place if more people just like appreciated Mischief Makers. Maybe.
There was an indie game that was developed actually by a local software developer here in the Michigan area, the Detroit area, that is essentially a direct, like a spiritual successor to Mischief Makers. Like, I'll have to dig it up, but I think he's still working on it. It's like a one-person team working on it.
Yeah.
If you own a copy of Mischief Makers, do yourself a favor and don't Google how much Mischief Makers goes for. Because, you might not own a copy of Mischief Makers anymore.
True. It's very true.
Yep.
Dally is Googling.
I was going to say,
I'm typing things in. I'm just kidding.
And if you still have a box,
yeah.
But I mean, I just haven't gotten to play much. I constantly, at some point, I'll be redoing my basement. And once I do that, I plan on like hooking up. I have a projector that was in the trash pile of my college 10 years ago. So I brought that thing back to life, and all it is just like a component and composite and S-video like input. I think it has DVI on it too, which is probably the most modern thing on it. But I plan on basically getting a switcher and hooking up all my old consoles to that and having a PC there for emulation of like arcade games and stuff for the basement and, watching Netflix in like 480p or 720i or some whatever weird resolution that thing tried to do in HD. And yeah, I mean, it's been an interesting thing. Everybody tells you that you're going to have a good time buying a house and all that type of stuff. And as somebody who has now officially lived in my own house for a month, feels great.
Feels great.
Man, did the like 3 weeks leading up to it and like the first week of like dealing with all the nonsense around moving into a house and purchasing a house, like really kind of like made the whole process seem not worth it. A month later, I feel great. Like I can't wait to die in this house in like 40 years, 10 years after I pay it off.
Those people that told you you're going to, those people that told that cheered on the concept of buying a house being a great thing. No, they were lying to you. They just wanted you to go through the process without scaring the shit out of you.
Everybody tells you that it's going to be a nightmare, right? And like up until like the last 2 weeks, I was like, this thing has been going so well, like everything's going great. And then like those last 2 weeks, it was just a trash fire of
what do you mean you haven't moved out yet? I'm moving in tomorrow.
Other people not doing their jobs, like nonsense. Like I don't want to take over the podcast here, but I was at my signing and we're sitting there and I'm like, I have a Jeep filled with boxes that I'm taking into this house because I plan on moving my cats there like that night. I get into the signing and we're sitting there and everybody's, having a good time. Like, oh, I bet you this felt like it took forever. It sure as hell did. Okay. And the settlement lady is going through the paperwork and she's like, the deed's not here. And I'm like, huh? And she's like, yeah, the deed's not here. And without the deed, we can't do the closing. So after a couple of angry exchanges at said table, they signed some paperwork that allowed me to move into the house that night. And we did what is called a dry closing, which I've been telling people just means we didn't pop any champagne at the end of it. But basically what that means is you just don't exchange any of the money. Like all the paperwork gets signed and then you don't sign the literal last piece that's like, and now we're complete. Until like the deed. So the deed got to him the next day and I signed and they gave me my check for home improvements that the seller gave me and stuff like that. But it was like a week of nonsense and I was like, okay, I get to move into this house tonight and all my stress goes away. And then that happened. And then the worst case scenario was I scheduled internet.
Apparently not. Because it's cutting out.
Yeah.
We lost you, Sam.
Well, sorry, Sam.
How great is it that he was talking about getting internet and it died.
Yeah. It died. My friend who I think I've mentioned them on the podcast before, the person that always asks me like the really weird, like almost in-depth like industry questions out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Her and her girlfriend moved from I think it was Washington State to Illinois.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole process, so she was buying a house from Washington in Illinois, and they were doing it all because of COVID. They were doing it all like over the internet, and they were working through a real estate agent, and they found a house that they really liked that was in their budget, and apparently what the real estate agent didn't bother to tell them was that like all property that somebody owns in this location gets grandfathered into certain like laws that get passed, like laws and bylaws that get passed. Mm-hmm. The second that they sell it, you have to make sure that the house is compliant with these bylaws. And it's not on the seller to advertise that or anything.
Oh, wow.
So they buy this house and they finish their lease on their apartment and they move like cross country and they get there and the fucking like bylaw, like housing enforcement people are like, yeah, this house isn't registered as livable because like you haven't had it inspected and we don't have paperwork on file and you got to get this, and this done. And they're there with like their shit and they're like, well, like we're here. So we're moving in, getting an inspector out here, I guess. It's like I was being fed live updates on this whole thing. And it was crazy. It was like a solid almost 2 months of like just the craziest bullshit that nobody told them was going to happen. Like the real estate agent didn't mention it because they want the commission, and the house seller didn't mention it because they're getting the fuck out.
The thing that what I was led to understand is that both the seller and the buyer's realtor have to work in the best interest of both parties. There's some law, there's some document I think they have to sign that say they do. From going through the process, only the buyers, at least as somebody who was buying, only the buyer's realtor had any interest in helping me out or helping this deal move along. And the seller, and I'm sure the people that we bought the house from, I never met them directly, but they seemed like very nice people. They were always very willing anytime we came back to be like, hey, this thing is kind of messed up. What can you do for us? They were more than willing. I mean, they had to sign off on us moving in that night and like they were like, oh yeah, we screwed up. Like it's our bad. Absolutely, they can move in that night. Like, we'll even pay the utilities for one extra day for them and stuff like that. But like the whole we'll work for both of you guys is complete horse
trash. That's totally
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Aaron, what have you been playing?
So I don't even know how I was. So when you go on Wikipedia and you're like, I gotta look this thing up, and you're like reading
4 hours later.
Yeah, totally. So I do that with Steam.
Oh,
where like I'll be looking for something specific, and then I'll be like, oh, this game has a bunch of tags. It'll be 2D, pixel art, RPG, like that kind of tag. They're like if you're looking at a game's page, you'll see like 3 or 4 of those. Like games get tagged with way more because they're from the community. So I end up browsing through those different tags. So I ended up finding 2 things. The first was an early access game, single player called No Place Like Home. Which let me just look it up on Steam here because it's $5.69 Canadian. So that's, I assume, $4.99 American.
Yeah.
Right? It's a single player game that claims to be vaguely sort of like Harvest Moon. It takes place in like a dystopia, and you got to build yourself a little camp, and you do farming. You got to clean up all the trash. Like the world's fucked, and there's like fishing and like that. It's that sort of game. So I was like, all right, $6 or whatever. I guess I'll do that. Early access, so I'm not expecting a whole lot. I turned that shit on. There's no title screen. It's just you hit new game, and then you're just in the game. And man, did that run like dog shit.
Really?
Oh yeah. I got it says system requirements. The minimum is a 3.2 gigahertz dual core processor and 4 gigs of RAM, and it wants a GTX 750 or equivalent card. That's not a big ask. Yeah, I turned that game on, and it was set to full graphics, everything, and it was running at about 5 frames a second. So I was like, oh fuck, I better turn the graphics down. So I turned the graphics down, and it was running at about 8 frames a second.
Improvement.
And
almost double the speed.
Almost double, yeah. And your character's got like in this game like some sort of like multi-purpose backpack machine thing, which I think is your multi-tool. Like it's for interfacing with the world. It's got like a vacuum. It's got like a hose. There was no way to figure out how to make that work. I couldn't pick anything up. And because the game is so early access, there was nothing in the menu that said, "Oh, here are the controls." So that was that. I guess I'll check back in on that. I don't know, next year.
How to play this game that you just bought?
Yeah, like
maybe this will be an Among Us situation where you're on the ground floor, and then in like 2 or 3 years, it's gonna win multiplayer game of the year.
It'll win best ongoing game.
I'm looking at the roadmap right now because they're early access. They have one of those. And Tier 1 unlocked, The Last Farm and Rebirth of Village, which I assume is like where I loaded into in this game. Tier 2 coming Q1 2021. Sunken City and Shimmering Lighthouse, Lonely Hills and Deepest Holes.
Oh.
And then
Deepest
tier
hole?
Tell me about these deepest holes.
I'm going to find out.
The most eldritch of holes.
The
You won,
Eldritch of
you won
holes.
2021, so I guess that's from now until the end of March, maybe.
Yeah.
But so the roadmap is all 2021. Nowhere in there in the roadmap is adding controls, adding customizable controls, adding pictures that tell you what the fuck you're supposed to be using.
Well,
your thing
in
for.
tier 3, they find their misplaced desert.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do, and a giant dam.
Yes.
How about How about a .png that shows what the controls do? Is that something that you can?
According to this, every tier will bring 1 to 2 new tool mechanics.
Ooh.
Not going to tell you how to use those tools.
Every tier.
Apparently 2 farm animals and 2 different wild animals too.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So that game is like $4.99 right now. They're apparently from now until it goes until it's done, it's 75% off. So that'll be what, $15 when it's done.
Uh-huh.
I'm not great at math.
Yeah.
So I messed around with that. And then the one that I was actually playing, I don't even know how I found this. Do you guys remember that game Reciteer? An item shop's tale?
No.
So the whole crux of that game was you inherit a like a fantasy weapon item store.
Was that on the DS?
Yeah, probably.
3DS? I remember I reviewed that game, I think.
So the whole crux of that game is you inherit the store and you have to craft items to sell at the store and make money to make monthly payments to pay off the debt the store accrues. And the other part of the game is going into dungeons to get fight monsters and get materials, and that's the loop.
Okay.
You make things to make better things to make better things to beat the game. So I found this game. I don't even remember how I found it, but it's called Blacksmith of the Sand Kingdom.
Nice.
Yeah, and it's that game. It's your dude wants to be the king's blacksmith. And his dad was the king's blacksmith, and he passed away, and you inherited his forge, and now you got to make things to make things to make things to be the best. And there's a dungeon, and basically it's a 1-to-1 map of what I remember for Reciteer. You've got an overworld map of the village you live in, and there's 6 or 7 places you can go, and there's the Adventurers Guild, and there's a hospital, and there's a store, and there's an arena, and then there's the dungeons, and you can go into the dungeons once a day, and you can get quests to go into the dungeons, and that gives you money to help you forge stuff with the materials that you get out of the dungeons, and you got to forge a certain number of items. You got to forge 20 short swords to get 100% on forging short swords, and that means that now you make perfect short swords and they'll sell better, and so that's that. There's a tech tree, and you got to build the first thing to unlock the next thing in the tech tree, and you got to occasionally buy books to learn new forging techniques and run around, and that game's fine. That game.
What's this game called?
It's called Blacksmith of the Sand Kingdom.
Blacksmith of the Sand Kingdom. Okay.
Yep, it's $27.99 Canadian, so that's probably $24.99 American, if I had to guess.
Yeah.
Somewhere around there. I beat it. I essentially 100%ed it. It took me about 16 hours. I really, really, really fucking rushed through it. Once I figured out the loop, I was like, oh, I'm just gonna put money in, because you can buy a lot of materials. Once you have them unlocked from either the arena or the item shop, so you don't have to just farm up materials in the dungeon. And I think that's kind of the point. So once you figure out what's going on, you can really just kind of blast through, and then the game progresses. There's tiers to unlocking the story, and it's always predicated on you have to unlock the next level of a dungeon, and then you have to do a certain quest or two in that dungeon, and then you have to sell a certain amount, a certain amount's worth of you have to make a certain amount of profit in your shop, and then the next tier will unlock, and then you repeat that I think it's 5 times, and then you beat the game. And
One of my favorite versions of this game was basically where it all started, which was Dragon Quest IV, where you have the chapter as Torneco, where you own the item shop.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
Or the weapon shop? That's like, it was like the predecessor to a lot of these things, and I'm really glad it's a genre. What was that? Moonlighter was kind of similar to that, and then
I did remember a game that I've been playing that I didn't mention earlier that I suddenly dawned on me again. That you posted a link to it in the Discord and I bought it. It was that Wrestling Revolution for the Switch.
Oh yeah, Wrestling Kingdom.
Wrestling Kingdom, that's what it was. I can't. Oh, okay. So it's an M Dickey joint where if you go to the Apple App Store right now and type in M Dickey, you will see probably 10, 20 games, all from this one guy, and they're all relatively like some of them are like. It's all the same graphics, it's all the same controls, but some of it's a wrestling games. Mm-hmm. Some of them are like a prison fights and shit like that. But this is just his console version of that, and it is the most broken Nintendo 64 ass wrestling game, but in an incredibly enjoyable way. The AI can just kind of do its own thing, like. It will come out in an entrance and it will kind of lose its tracking to the ring and start walking. It'll like walk up. It will like walk up onto the announce table and there'll be like dynamite that is randomly as a weapon that you can pick up. And so they'd be like caught up in the geometry of the announce table. The dynamite will blow up. They'll be injured, but they'll still make their way into the ring. And you come out.
That's awesome.
And then you just have like this busted ass wrestling game where you just it's the right kind of broken. Like and his games have always been this way, and I think he's intentionally, I mean, at this point, he's intentionally doing it. Mm-hmm. But it makes it really enjoyable. It's playable. Once you understand the controls, it's very Nintendo 64 style. Like strong grapple, light grapple, strong punch. It's like it's weak punch and all that stuff. And all of the wrestlers are like super ripoffs of existing wrestlers and stuff. Like here's Big E Langston, but they call him Hugh Jazz. Or stuff like that, but like it's like $15 and it's just
not bad.
It's silly and it's fun and it has a story mode that again everything seems just sort of like randomly generated with a lot of this stuff. Like you'll just be in a match and then like the referee will just decide he's gonna start hitting you with a chair. There's no story that goes into it. It's just like, oh, well, the ref hates me now. So, all right, I got to deal with this now too. And like the announcers will all of a sudden just like get involved for no reason and everything. It's a hoot. It's definitely not good, but it's like The Room where it's that kind of situation where it's like, you know what?
It's a game version of The Room movie. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not the Silent Hill The Room. The movie.
The Tommy Wiseau The Room.
Tommy Wiseau The Room. Where
no.
Except I think the creator is in on the joke and just now, just like Tommy Wiseau is, he's in on the joke now.
Yeah.
Originally, I don't think so, but now they are. So
now they are.
It's funny that it's made its way to console. Like I said, type M Dickey into the App Store on the iOS and be blown away by how this one dude has just been wasting his time making these absurd, weird games for like 15 years at this point. Like I think like a Giant Bomb video from like 6 years ago have them playing Wrestling Revolution on there or something. So yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Anything else, Aaron?
Nothing current. I've been started playing off and on 2013, I think. 2013's Tomb Raider.
Oh yeah,
they were the original Tomb Raider. Okay,
that's
okay.
That's one of those. I have a pile of just a pile of games on Steam that I thought looked really interesting, but I didn't have the hardware to play them.
Now's the time. You have the time since there's nothing else coming out for like months, and you have the hardware now that can run it.
Yeah, so
that's a good game. That first Tomb Raider, that 2013 Tomb Raider, is a good game. I really like that Tomb Raider.
Yeah, I have no idea if I'm like once I fully play it and beat it. I have no idea if I'll then pick up the next two.
2 was good. 3, it was just like, all right, you've worn out your welcome at this point. Like it didn't grow.
Two was Rise and 3 was Shadow.
And 3 was Shadow. Yeah, they all have the exact same story, like not even remotely different from one another. And 3 plays perfectly fine, but it's just like by the time you get there, it's just like I feel like I've played this over and over. They didn't change the formula at all. Like at least by the time they got to the end of their cycle for Uncharted, like that 4th Uncharted game's kind of different enough from the previous Uncharted's or something. But like
it's the Assassin's Creed problem.
Yeah.
You play any one of a set of like an Assassin's Creed game, depending on the generation you're playing it in. You've technically played them all.
Yeah.
But yeah, so no, that seems good so far. A little brutal.
Yeah.
A little gory.
Some of the kills, especially when Laura dies, are needlessly grotesque.
I played like right in the beginning, they give you the stick and then it's like, all right, do this shit, and then the very first time you can die, I'm pretty sure I died as soon as like accidentally, and like you just get crushed and the camera just right on her face, and it's like, oh
yeah,
I didn't need to see that. But that's pretty much everything.
Okay, all right. I've also been playing old games because that's all I do. First and foremost, I picked up the Contra Collection. That was on. There's a bunch of stuff on sale, so I picked up the Contra Collection because I love me some old Contra games, and they had a couple on there that I had never played before, and some of the games that hadn't really made it to the U.S. So
the Game Boy one is like, I forgot how surprisingly competent that Game Boy Contra is,
and it's fun to just like, you know what, I'm throwing that Konami code in there. I don't care. I'm just playing these for fun and just gonna kill an hour or so sitting in front of the TV, while I'm watching something. So that's been some good nostalgia, especially like Super Contra is really good. So it's like, it's just nice to hop into some of these games.
It's a good set.
Yeah, it's a good set.
I wish it had Contra 4 on it, the DS game. I understand why it's not there, but that needs to somehow be resurrected. That was a really fucking good Contra game.
Just glad it's not that really crappy Contra game that came out like last year or whatever.
That Rogue Ops or something weird like that. That's like
whatever that was.
That was a mess. It runs like shit and it doesn't play like Contra, and it made me so mad.
so the Contra Collection is games from like the 80s and like real early 90s. So then I have then moved to games from the early 2000s. Let me rephrase that, from like mid 2000s with PlayStation 3 3DS version game, Super Street Fighter 4 3D edition. It was on sale from $19.99 to $4.99 on the. I think it might still be on sale. Maybe, I don't know, on the eShop during their year sale. I'm like, shit! I was looking for my cartridge for this game and I couldn't find it. And I realized I'd sold it or gotten rid of it or something. And I remembered like bizarrely liking this game. For like $4.99, if we're like $4.99, so I picked up the Contra Collection for $4.99 and Super Street Fighter 4. I'm like, $4.99 for this. I'm like, for the 3DS, I'm like, I could dig. I have, I think I maybe open my 3DS once a year now, but it's kind of nice to actually have a game on there digitally. And I thought, I'm just kind of curious in it, and I'll avoid buying coffee for a day or two. And
who do you main as in a Street Fighter game, Dally?
Oh shit. It's a lot of times it's Chun-Li. I'll just like I'll hop into Chun-Li just because I like those classic characters. They're easier to control because they're a little more basic. You did have Blanca. I used to really be a huge big Blanca fanatic, but Chun-Li I think is just kind of become the it's just easy enough.
The 3DS version of Street Fighter 4 was where me and my friend had officially started our Street Fighter rivalry because it was the first Street Fighter game that we both had that had online play.
Yeah,
so, like I had, I guess so, and it has we still maintain to this day our bitter rivalry, and he's a Chun-Li player and I'm a Cammy player.
Okay.
So, and we are almost, I would say we're actually probably deadlocked at this point. Like it's like 50-50 booking. Like it's dead even. None of us have gotten worse or better at our respective.
You know what's kind of cool is how visually competent that game is, because it actually looks. And I mean, I'm never gonna be able to see it in 3D again. I don't actually have a 3DS anymore. I have the 2DS, but
it was impressive 3D vision.
I was kind of staying like this weird. There's like this over the shoulder mode. If you want to play it in 3D, but I was really surprised at how good it looked on a 3DS. And the 3DS is like, what is it like? And not N64.
Street Fighter 4 was new.
GameCube level, yeah.
And Street Fighter 4 was new-ish when that version came out.
Yeah, it was.
So it was one of the few re-releases of Street Fighter 4 by that time. So it was kind of impressive that it was on there at all.
Completely surprised, yeah.
Yeah.
Another game that I picked up on sale, and this was thanks to Wario64 pointing it out. And I saw this on Walmart's site. I was looking for something. Captain Toad for the Switch. I wanted to pick this game up for the Odyssey levels and for the DLC stuff. And I thought I really want to. I hadn't played those. Obviously, there's the Mario 3D World levels on the Wii U version. I'm like, I'm really kind of curious. And I was looking at the $29.99 price. That's always that pops up every once in a while, or $39.99. I think the game was only like $39.99. But I thought one of these days I'm going to pick it up. If it dips to like $25 or somewhere below that, I'll pick it up. It was $4.99. It was like what? No, not even that. It was like $4.44 or something crazy like that, with the DLC included, because Walmart had screwed up on the pricing. And I ended up grabbing it, and it showed up. They sent you the email with the code. I put it in there. Wary that if it was the DLC or it was the full game. So I've been playing that, and I realized how just so stupidly delicious and fantastic and wonderful that game is. And that's a great puzzle game. That's an awesome game.
It doesn't seem like it should work as well as it does.
Yeah.
Like Nintendo really, when they put themselves into like, let's make something different. They have a good track record with just like these weird offshoot, like puzzly, like they love making a puzzle game out of something that shouldn't be a puzzle game. And
right.
Here we are. So.
Yep. So yeah, definitely. I'm really glad we're playing that game again, and that's gonna be because I have it digitally now. I can just hop into a level and pop it out. I don't need to. I'm more and more slowly gravitating. I'm moving my hand more and more slowly gravitating towards just downloaded games on the Switch, especially because I like to just open it up, play a game, and shut it down again.
At least with the Switch, the games aren't big.
Right.
So it doesn't.
Although
hurt
I have
to sit there and wait.
filled up a 400 gig card quickly, but it doesn't.
Most of the stuff, like it seems like everything you try to download on like PlayStation, it's like this game that you got for $20. Yeah, it's like 44 gigs. So
can't fit on there. Sorry, can't. Delete Control off your. And I've been chipping away at Control, playing that a little bit in Final Fantasy VII Remake. So a little bit here and there on the PS5. It's like an hour here, an hour there, kind of chipping those in. It's been really kind of sporadic right now. It's been this sort of shotgun approach to gaming in that I think I've heard it called taste testing, where you're just kind of like play a little bit, like play like an hour of a game here, 45 minutes there, maybe an hour and a half here, another hour there, and just kind of try a little bit of everything, but never really like sit down and focus. And so I completed Age of Calamity, and there were 65 hours of my life that I'm never getting back. Not a horrible game, just
I started playing it. I started playing it because I got it from GameFly, and I just can't. I can't do this again.
Jonesy, this is great because the image has been split apart in our chat. It's this vertical, like beautiful Joseph Stalin, and in the actual the thing that comes up, it's like blocking Aaron, and
awesome.
and suck.
Stalin was missing a few teeth.
Yeah, exactly. So I finished off Age of Calamity. I said I need one game that actually has my focus and attention. Like I said, chipping away at those PS5 games. I'm working on a review for a PC game. I'm like, I want one game where I'm actually just kind of focused for enjoyment. So I posted the list, and here were my choices. My choices were Outer Worlds, Wonderful 101, Immortals Phoenix Rising, or Darksiders The War Mastered Edition. I'm like, I need another Switch game to jump into. And Darksiders is a great game. Darksiders, by hands down, it's good. You know, it's a Zelda style. It's a really good game. It's Joe Madureira, I think, is the or however you pronounce his name, is one of the creative guys behind it. And I thought, that might be a surprise that sneaks in. That was the lowest rated one. And Wonderful 101, surprisingly, was right up there in the top. But you dumb idiots, who I love you, but you're still dumb. Out of like the dozens and dozens and dozens of votes that I got, Outer Worlds and Immortals Phoenix Rising both tied. Now, here's the problem with this. I said, give me the Switch game that I should play next. Everybody said Outer Worlds or Immortals, and all the comment replies were, you should definitely play Outer Worlds. Don't play it on Switch, though. And then you should play Immortals. Don't play it on Switch. Like, then why you fucking idiots telling me to why are you vote for the other ones then? Because I asked for Switch games. Yeah. And you guys are fucking idiots, because and I mean that in the most loving way possible. Please cut this portion out when I run for president. That this is like the video ad that's gonna play in the commercials. Yeah.
Immortals is a lot less broken on Switch than Outer is on Switch.
Yes.
Like, Outer on Switch is almost unplayable. Immortals is just
so the game that I chose to play, Outer Worlds on Switch. I'm like, I'm just gonna go out. It's a shorter game. It's actually the shortest out of those four. And Outer Worlds, I think, is like a 12 to 14 hour game if you kind of just mainline it. And I thought, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna go get through Outer Worlds in the next week or so here, a couple weeks at most, and finish that sucker out. And I'm like maybe an hour into the game. I haven't noticed any like bugs or anything. It's just text. Luckily, you can change the text size on the in handheld mode, but the graphics aren't anywhere near what you would expect from actually the stuff that Doom and Doom Eternal apparently as well. I haven't played that yet, but Doom looked fantastic. Wolfenstein looked fantastic. As far as ports go, this looks okay. It looks like Fallout 3 on the Xbox 360. Minus a couple things here and there in a weird way, but
I'm assuming they had to have updated it at some point, because when it came out, it was running.
Oh, yeah, they did.
It was running at like 15 frames per second.
No, they actually did update it. I'm not loving the controls, and I have to kind of play with the sensitivity, because it's like it's not tank like. It's got these really big like points where your Joy-Con turns to. So I got to play with that a little bit. I might actually turn on the motion control for shooting, because that's such a nice little feature for shooters, is to have that motion control. And this is for PlayStation and Nintendo. You can kind of slightly turn the controller a little bit and fine tune stuff. So, but yeah, there was like a pretty substantial size patch when I dropped the cartridge in there and checked, started playing. So I'm okay with it. But so far, so good. Interesting storyline. I mean, it's basically it's like Wicked Witch of the West. It's you the very first thing you do is you land on someone and kill them with your ship. So that's always a positive. But I'm liking that so far. It will. You were gonna say something, JJ, before I.
No. I was just talking Outer Worlds longer.
Okay, yeah. So I'm gonna get through that. I think Outer Worlds will be great. I'm gonna end on this. This is sort of game related. I think that a lot of these other games that I'm waiting to appear on the Switch as a Switch, Tomb Raider. I think Tomb Raider is going to come to the Switch. I think the whole trilogy is going to come. I think there are a bunch of other games that we keep talking about that are going. I think Fallout 4 is going to make it to the Switch. I think a lot of these contracts have been signed even before the Bethesda purchase, whatever. I think they're going to come to the Switch, the new Switch, which won't be called the Switch Pro. I still think it's going to be called Switch Plus. And I think it's definitely not coming out in the springtime like a lot of people thought it was, because Nintendo is just releasing a pretty hot looking red Switch, which looks really nice. And that's coming out like February. So you're not going to put out a new console in March after dropping that in February. I think you'll probably get a new Switch. If you do, it'll be towards the end of the year. October timeframe probably with new game purchases and all, with the new Zelda stuff. I'm looking forward to catching up on some of these games that I have in the backlog on my PS4. This is the year because a lot of shit, and we're already noticing it. Like I opened up my reader, my RSS reader, and like all the websites have this game is delayed, this game is delayed, this game is delayed later this year, next year. They're already happening. Like 2021 is 2020 part 2 in terms of entertainment releases. We're seeing with movies and stuff, and games are already getting delayed. And so I think if we can get this Switch Plus, then maybe we'll get some of the other games on there as well. But I think anybody thinking there's going to be a Switch Pro in springtime is off the rocker. I think you're going to get that in the fall. And I think then by then I will have completed a couple of these games, and I think Tomb Raider will be out because I have to get into Tomb Raider. I think I have it on Games with Gold or PlayStation Plus or whatever. I know I have at least 2 of those Tomb Raider games already loaded up, maybe in both of my accounts. I'm hopeful to get into some of those games again. So who knows?
I would like to make my prediction.
We never did a full episode of just straight up predictions. So go ahead, make your prediction.
I think they're going to call the next one the Switch Up.
The Switch Up?
That could be cool. Yep. I like the Switch Up. That works. That works.
It would be. I'd really want it to be Super Switch. I really do.
That would actually be the coolest thing, because everyone's like, "You got the Switch?" No, I got the Super Switch. Fuck, I want to get a Super Switch. Hey Sam, I did want to ask you. We never got your 5 favorites of the year. Do you happen to know them offhand, or have them written down in a box somewhere?
Yes, I do have them written down. I wasn't sure if we were going to get to them, so we can go over them quickly because I don't want to spend too much time. We're almost been at it for 2 hours here now. So,
shit! Wow.
Yeah. So my number 5, which got sadder today, was Tony Hawk 1 and 2.
Oh yeah.
The remasters. That's that. Before I go any further, just a special shout out to all Comfort games of 2020. So like whether that be Fall Guys or Among Us for like the multiplayer crowd, and then going back and playing like a bunch of older stuff just because, like, hey, when you're quarantined in the house, and if putting on Star Fox 64 or playing Mario Party 2 some night is what you want to do, like, feel free to, like, whatever makes you happy for that moment. But yeah, Tony Hawk 1 and 2 remasters, remakes. Hey, Tony Hawk 1 and 2 was really good. They did a great job at remastering those games. Love that they kept the good songs off the soundtrack intact. Yeah. That's where I discovered ska music, and my life was never the same after that. And then also having a good mix of new tunes on it, at least like 1 or 2 songs that I hadn't heard before, which are now on Spotify playlists. So thank you, Vicarious Visions, for all you did on that. And I would love to see a Tony Hawk 3 and 4, but we're not going to see it. But yeah, what a great sort of re-envisioning of those old levels, but keeping things like pretty consistent, and just making I don't know, there's something very nice about jumping and doing a flip trick and then grinding that, like, I don't know, it's so soothing that only Tony Hawk can do, and they really nailed it on that. Number 4 is Astro's Playroom, or as I like to call it, the only reason to own a PS5 right now. What a great little, like, I'm always a fan of, I think Super Mario 3D World is one of the most underrated Mario games, and luckily they're re-releasing it again, so a lot of people are going to get to experience it. But Astro's Playroom basically took like the best of that, made it a little bit more open, And just as somebody who wasn't like, we had a PlayStation growing up and I played through some of PlayStation's like classic hits, but just sort of seeing things and being like, oh, there's the little Castlevania, or there's the little Metal Gear or Devil May Cry thing. Like, it's just so nice to see that type of stuff. Yeah. They did a really good job of nailing the levels and sort of tying them into like different cool new features on the PlayStation. There's like the GPU jungle, which has an oddly catchy tune, which you can kind of miss if you're not paying attention. And really being like the best demo for a new controller since Wii Sports. So I think they did a really good job with that. And I will just join my voice to the chorus asking for a full-fledged version of that game. Yes. And just give us like, a 6 to 8 hour, like really cool Astro's Playroom, and just make it again a love letter to PlayStation. Next one I got, number 3, already talked about it a little tonight, Genshin Impact. Played a lot of that game. It's another game. My partner and I don't play a lot of games together. We play a lot of games like independently. And there's some crossover, like the Pokemon games are always a crossover, like Stardew Valley and stuff like that. But Genshin's really been the first sort of like, real consistent RPG and like kind of the MMO that we've ever played together. So I mean, there's some weirdness with that. I would prefer that every 5 hours or so you don't jump up a world level. That makes the game just so much more incredibly difficult, and you have to grind. We're both trying to play free to play because I refuse to give money to gacha games. So I'm a roadmap that's going to be going forward. I'll probably end up playing it a lot, and we might be talking about it again for me for the best 2021. When that comes around, since Destiny 2 got that same sort of shout out. But it's been great. Look forward to more of it. Anime waifus are always the best. And now you can play with friends on the go or at home.
Yeah, nice.
I can't wait to see like the crossover stuff, because inevitably there's going to be crossover stuff from like, like with like branding and like animes and other video games and stuff.
Genshin Impact X Sword Art Online.
It's
that's coming.
It's like, because if you've been in the Discord, you've seen Quest keeps adding me for their previous game before they did Genshin Impact, which I always forget because they Honkai? Yeah, because they just added
something like that.
Yeah, because they just added Asuka from Evangelion into that game. And so he just keeps adding me with videos trying to convince me to play that game.
Genshin is allegedly coming out on the Switch at some point. So hopefully that version will be able to play with PC and mobile also, as opposed to being restricted like the PlayStation versions of it. Number 2 was kind of a toss-up because like it technically came out that year, but also didn't, and that's Hades. I mean, I kind of played that game nonstop while I was in early access for like the first couple months, and then really kind of got at it again. And then when I was trying to figure out moving and stuff like that, have taken a break. So I haven't actually completed the game, at least not to my satisfaction yet. I guess is the best way of saying that. So I definitely have a lot more Hades to play, but what an interesting, it's really been the first kind of early access game that I followed a lot, like through the development. Because I've played a couple of other early access games and have then played like their finished version, but I usually, play it like basically treat early access as kind of like a demo, play it for a couple hours, and then just kind of wait until the full version comes out. But Hades was always something like, I would see somebody on Twitter post about an update. I'm like, cool, I'm going to get in there and do like 5 or 6 runs, and just, maybe even restart my game, do a couple of runs and be like, okay, I'll wait for the next big update and we'll see a couple characters, talk to a couple of them, and have a good time. And I mean, that game basically, is on everybody's Game of the Year lists and stuff like that. Like, they do great stuff with story. The art in it is always amazing. Like, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, Supergiant hasn't missed yet. And Hades is just kind of the envelopment of everything that they've been doing, and it's great. So if you haven't checked that out, check it out. Cross save between Switch and PC, which is also a great feature that like more people need to be doing. And then number 1, I'm just going to let Dally guess what this is.
I don't have to, but you can cross animals with
correct. It is Animal Crossing, a game that probably absorbed more of my time in like the first couple months of this COVID thing than anything else. Again, a game that like my partner and I played a whole bunch for probably about 4 months. We made it a point to one of us travel to the other person's island, and we always took a photo while we were there until my wedding got moved back to this year, which spoilers, it's probably getting moved back another year. We were and I'm still going to do the idea. I'm going to, now that you can rip photos off of the Switch easier than before, I'm basically going to make a like a photo book where it's just our screenshots.
Oh, that's cool.
From Animal Crossing, and then put it out on our wedding and like have like a, a blank cover that just says like our vacation or whatever, and you open it and it's just Animal Crossing.
Just do your wedding in Animal Crossing.
Yeah, our island vacation. Hey, it's funny you say that because we have numerous times spent New Year's together in Animal Crossing. Like for 2 or 3 years, we didn't live together. So we spent our New Year's, like, midnight celebrations in like New Leaf. And then, of course, like this year, there really wasn't much
anywhere to go. Yeah.
New Year's celebration. Yeah. So we spent it in Animal Crossing also. So yeah, I mean, Animal Crossing is great. This one, when there's a little bit of complaints, like I wish there was kind of more to do in multiplayer. Like even if it's some silly dumb mini games, I wish there was more of that. I wish you could customize your islands fully together, because you can only really do the builder stuff, and there's certain limitations to what happens when multiplayer people come over and stuff like that. I would also say that even though there's a ton of new items and there's a ton of stuff, I felt like there really wasn't much like items of sort of like how I would want to design a house really in particular. And I can't tell you, I really wanted a new deco art wooden chair or something, instead of what it is. I'm certainly not the person that would be sitting there designing the furniture and stuff like that. But I mean, it's just great. I think you can show anybody Animal Crossing, and anybody that has Animal Crossing. Like, I feel like it's like you're showing off your like kid at their first day at school. Like, this is my island. This is my house. This is my weird sex dungeon in the basement. This is my arcade room in the back. My kitchen's all pink. There's like it's just nice. It's like. In the year 2020, I felt like we needed a lot of nice things, and Animal Crossing was the peak of nice things and came out at the perfect time. Not like I wasn't already going to buy 2 copies as soon as it came out anyway, but it was just like, when things weren't very soothing, it was soothing. I think it would have been on this list regardless if COVID was a thing or not. But the fact that it was, like, instantly had to put Animal Crossing at number 1.
Cool. Great choices. I a couple of mine were on there as well, and we talked a lot about all these. So
our first dissenter.
Did not have Final Fantasy.
A Final Fantasy non-believer.
Well, I will only say that I'm a non-believer Final Fantasy because Final Fantasy VIII is still the best Final Fantasy.
True, agreed.
And B, I hate finished Final Fantasy 15? Is that the one where the boys go on the road?
Yes.
Yeah, the road trip.
Yeah, the road boys. I hated that game with a passion. I finished it just so I could legally talk smack about it. I know it's like a different combat system and stuff like that. I will probably end up playing Final Fantasy VII remake at some point.
To be fair, it's more of a Kingdom Hearts game than it is a Final Fantasy.
My only real experience with Final Fantasy VII was watching my brother play that game while we were growing up. And my brother lives in California now, and I don't think he's going to get into Twitch streaming anytime soon. So I likely won't be watching him play Final Fantasy VII Remake. So maybe I'll just find who's a good Let's Player on YouTube, and maybe I'll just go
Ninja,
quote unquote play.
Yeah, Ninja for
only if Drake's playing it for him.
Only if Drake's.
Aaron's a Twitch partner. How about you play through Final Fantasy VII for him?
So, sorry about that. Just very quickly, I bought a new capture card, and I cannot get it to pick up sound.
Oh, cool.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Capture everything except for sound is what. Yeah.
So So
capture your gaming moments without
if I can figure that shit out and finally figure out why that's not picking sound up, then yeah, fuck it, why not? I'll play through Final Fantasy VII Remake again on Twitch.
I tell you what, if you end up being able to capture it, if you want to set up like every Tuesday night or something, I will make sure that I have a camera and you can embed me in the little corner and we will spend an hour a night playing through Final Fantasy VII. And I could sit there and make commentary like I did with my brother, being like, I don't get it. I barely know how to read. What's going on out here?
Who's that guy?
Who's that guy? Is that a racist stereotype? I'm not sure.
Yeah, we should do that.
hey, you guys want to hear this awesome segue? Ready? Watch this. Hey, Aaron, if we did want to find you on Twitch, where would that be?
You can find me at Scratty Bones.
Nice.
That is my handle everywhere. So if you see that handle anywhere, it's probably me.
Where can we find you, JJ?
the_double_J. Right? Yeah. On Twitter, Disney Compendium. Just type that into a web browser, into Spotify, Stitcher, Audible, whatever. It's there. It's a podcast.
It's a Napster.
Morpheus and LimeWire.
God, I remember those. Yeah.
Kazaa. It's there as well. And what was it? Winnie the Pooh, the 2003 sequel, or
nice.
Sequel? Yeah, whatever. Winnie the Pooh just went up, and I'm on COVID watch, so I didn't really feel like recording one when I wasn't on the podcast last week because I was going to record mine, but then I ended up not recording mine because that's when I had my COVID test because I was 100% certain I had COVID at that point. And I was not feeling the best. So I didn't
we had
anything.
my daughter was a co-host on I think it was Sunday we recorded. Yeah, she was a co-host. She killed it. Good job. Sam, we can't find you anywhere, but we can find you on SideQuesting sometimes, so that's positive.
Yes, and I don't make promises because my schedule is hectic and a nightmare on most weeks. But now that I do have functional internet, and I have 50 megabits up, you best believe your boy's going to try streaming at some point.
Yeah,
I don't want Aaron to be the only Twitch affiliate on this. So at some point, hopefully, probably closer to the actual spring than now, I will hopefully be getting streaming set up and actually running. And then who knows, maybe once I do that yearly Star Fox 64 playthrough,
that'd be awesome.
I can set it up and be my first stream, and you can see how bad somebody is at that game, even though they've played it once a year for like
get it for the buy it on the Wii U. Yeah, buy it on the Wii U and then hook up your Wii U and stream it from there.
Oh, I mean, I have that really garbage. Star Fox Zero. I have Star Fox Zero for the Wii U.
No, I mean, I'm saying get the N64 version because they have it on the Wii U as well.
Oh, do they?
They have it in the virtual console.
Every time I go into a GameStop or whatever, and I see like the DS shelf and they have Star Fox like on the DS, I still don't own that, but part of me just starts sweating, and it's like you could buy that and then play it on the DS every year.
Yeah, it's a good version.
It's a good version. I'll give it that. Star Fox Command was
yes. There you go. And you can find me at Dolly Demoski. You can find us at SideQuesting all over the place. I think on Twitch we're SideQuesting TV. But other than that, SideQuesting.com.
Let this go for another 3.5 minutes. We'll hit the 2-hour mark on the nose. I mean,
I'm just gonna say nope. Bye.